We're here at the Pine Restaurant at the Hanover Inn with head women's rowing coach Nancy LaRocque. Coach, you had your first race of the season this past weekend at Boston University. Good local crew. Just what did you see out there?
Yeah, so our first weekend with the Dock Cozy Regatta was we chose not to go because the wind and the weather looked pretty crazy and not safe for racing. So this weekend with BU was really our first opportunity to execute a race plan and just to see how the lineups would shake out a little bit. And it was the end of just about our fourth week, not quite fourth week on the water. So I think given the time that we've had on the water and the time that we've had in the lineups and the work we've done to date, it was, not as fast as we'd hoped, but we've already kind of gone back to the drawing board a little bit and focused on the things that we can execute better next weekend. Yeah, and I think we left the race with good things to work on for next week.
Now, the spring season in rowing is relatively short in terms of 6 to 8 type weeks of racing, but the rest of the year is so important, the winter, the fall. Tell viewers a little bit about how important that is to set the stage for the spring.
Yeah, I think we're one of the few sports that, we train all year for 6 races in the springtime, and the races are usually around 6.5 minutes. So we put a lot of work and preparation into that time. So the fall season, we really work on our foundation in the strength room, a lot of heavier Olympic lifting. On the water, we put in a lot of mileage, a lot of technical work. And we also do a lot of work in small boats because the smaller the boat, the more challenging it is to row. And so we really look at the fall as a skill building, as big base fitness building. And then as we head into our winter training camp, which this year we got to go to Chula Vista, California, we spend that time, again, just getting lots of mileage in, and we start a little bit of selection geared towards the spring season, but certainly not all of it. So it's a good mix of mileage, technical work, and the beginnings of selection. And then as we get into the winter term, of course, our official end season doesn't start until February 1st. So in the month of January, we're in our 6-hour weeks. And so we can see the athletes 6 hours per week, and we work on, again, good training indoors, which is weights, ergometers, running stairs. And then we really do rely on the athletes to kind of fill in the areas where we can't see them in practice. So on their own, they'll get to do, lots of running and extra sort of steady state work. And then as soon as February 1st hits, we're with them up to 20 hours a week. And so we'll do a lot of AT work. We'll still do a lot of, foundational mileage. We still do technical work in our tanks. And we start to incorporate race pieces into the training plan as well. And then spring break rolls around, and we go down to Clemson, South Carolina, train twice a day. And that's where we also do, again, the theme here, lots of mileage. It's sort of like time in the saddle is what I call it. The more time you spend in the boat, the better you get technically. And then again, focus on technique, but then we do a lot more selection work. So we spent a really good bit of that trip just hammering away with, 1,000-meter pieces, and you switch people every time. And so by the end of that trip, we had a really good idea of what our lineups were going to look like for our first race, which ultimately we didn't go to. But so yeah, that's what we the whole year kind of gears up for, training for the races we have all spring.
The intangibles with this team, what have you seen out of this group, maybe leadership-wise, just, again, setting that foundation, which we just talked about? How excited are you about what you're seeing?
I think, so this is my 3rd year now with the Big Green, and, I always talk about our first year was really all through COVID, and we really didn't get the opportunity to get to know the athletes that well, and we only got to work with small groups at a time, and I don't think we made a ton of headway that year, but I think the team really, the glue that kept each other together was the team itself, and I think that's something that continues on, through to this year. I think this year we have an exceptional senior class who are doing a great job leading the younger women on the team, and no one's afraid to work hard, which is great. And I think, you have the athletes you have to work with, and so I think we're getting everything we can out of the athletes, and taking them through their paces and all the training that we're doing. Everyone's on board with the training and is excited about where we are right now as a program. It's not ultimately, years down the road, we want to be faster, but I think we are where we are right now. And so every day we're looking to make changes and, and get as fast as we can each day moving forward into each race weekend. And, everyone is, when we're talking in boat meetings and just team meetings, everyone's nodding their head like, okay, we're on board, we got this. And so, we always say the coaches want the same things that they want. So we want to put together the fastest lineups that we can to, face our competition.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time and good
Yeah.
luck the rest of the season.
Okay, thank you.